All right, is your business banned or will it be banned by Google? And can you run Google ads? We're going to be talking about that today. What types of businesses can run ads? What can't? What's the difference between restricted or prohibited content? We're going to get into it today as we talk about what are your options with Google Ads. So Google Ads have had policies for a long time. They're always changing. It's not something that is set in stone. You know, it updates and changes based on circumstances or whatever's going on. It's crazy in 20 years to see what has emerged and what hasn't emerged and where ads are somehow allowed or they're not allowed after certain circumstances. Good ones, you know, politics, cryptocurrency, all those things didn't exist. And what happens is, you know, Google creates options for, you know, what is allowed and what's not based on, you know, the general rule of what's happening and what they want to allow on their platform. Pharmaceuticals, drinking ads, you know, there's all sorts of restrictions that are legal restrictions with the government or governments. There's restrictions with specific countries, and they do their best to try to, not they do their best, they do a great job of adhering to those when they need to and allowing, you know, the restrictions within the self-serve platform. So, you know, any business owner can upload their ads on Google, be able to handle that and kind of move forward. But I wanted to talk to a couple of the options here. You know, a lot of times I get a lot of questions or companies will call me and say, this is my company. What can and can't, or where can I advertise? Or I want to do this type of ad platform and certain ones are restricted or they're not allowed. So it's every ad platform has different restrictions. And it's very interesting to see where you can or cannot be able to advertise based on what they allow. But, you know, when it comes to Google ads, there's kind of four broad areas where the ads get whatever you would call like that you could fall into, which are prohibited content. And this is content that you cannot advertise at all on the Google network. It's absolute no. There's prohibited practices, things that you can't do if you want to advertise with us. So, you know, maybe you're trying to do very specific, you know, something with your ad or a landing page or something that might be, you know, misleading. That's where that kind of falls apart. Restricted content or features. These are content you can advertise, but they have limitations. So there's only certain things that can be done. And then there's editorial and editorial and technical. So this is kind of the fourth one, which is the quality standards that Google has for your ads. You know, you can't write stuff in all caps. You can't use different words for, you know, Viagra and use different characters. So someone would be like, oh, I think that's what they're saying without actually using the words. Those are things that, you know, Google would block and no longer run your ads if you are doing. So those are the four areas that kind of come underneath where Google policy is looking for it. And you can, if you want to, you can Google any of these to be able to look up and see the policies, what's allowed, what's not, you know, in regards to prohibited content, things that Google doesn't allow, counterfeit goods, dangerous products or services, enabling dishonest behavior, which would be like, you know, tracking software or something that might track someone's screen without them knowing, or any sort of spam or malicious stuff. Inappropriate content that could be bullying, intimidation, any sort of discrimination. They definitely don't want that on there. And then when it comes to, you know, prohibited practices, this would be things like, you know, abusing the ad network, you know, data collection, you know, secretly collecting additional information that Google is not allowing, or, you know, just for me, the big one in our world was kind of Cambridge Analytica, you know, in regards to Facebook ads, where there were people that were saying, hey, take this quiz, but they were using the API to be able to not just pull information from someone that says, yeah, I want to take a fun quiz, but it would then pull their friends and be able to get data about their friends, their addresses, where they lived. So they were basically scraping Facebook for a lot of information that was later used for political purposes, which caused a big issue, and everyone was upset, you know, especially on the politician side or the political side, where they were like, this is an unfair tool that not all politicians are able to use. So the solution was to kill it. And that was kind of it. It went away. There's no more of that. Data collection and use, misrepresentation. You know, you definitely can't misrepresent, meaning I can't advertise and say, hey, I work for a competitor and yeah, we're super lame. I can't advertise that, or put something up there that people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're advertising that. You know, you've got to be able to prove that you are the brand or the company, and you're representing them and in the right way, and that it's in alignment with what would be normal advertising practices. In regards to restricted content and features, Google doesn't, they don't allow sexual content, alcohol. This is where it's limited, where it has to be specific by age. So these are where ads can get through, but there's limitations. So there's restricted sexual content, and then there's what is potentially allowed. So there could be something that would be like I don't know. There's a whole bunch of options on the Google website. If I say it, what'll happen is the video may get an additional ranking or whatever. But certain types of toys, certain types of locations where guys hang out to watch dancers, stuff like that would not be allowed. Alcohol, it has to be within the age ranges. Copyrights, you can't advertise someone else's. If something's copyright, Google has a way where you can protect that, and other brands using your name or information, they're trying to come after you. That you have some repercussions there. Gambling and games, healthcare and medicine, political content, financial products and services, and cryptocurrencies. These are all ones that are allowed to be advertised, but with very specific criteria. And again, all this information is on the Google website under policies that you can look for. Ads that are made for kids is another one that can run, but with limitations. They don't like extreme targeting towards kids. Anyone under the age of 13 on the internet is kind of a no-no to go after and target and track. So that's something there. And then the last thing that you can do that they have that can get you into trouble with ads and their policies or editorial, which is how you be able to show your ads, or the wording that you're using. They have some editorial guidelines where they don't want your entire ad in all caps. They want it to read normally, and they don't want words in caps or words that are switched out where you're secretly putting a word in with different characters that someone would be able to figure out. Or possibly emojis that mean certain things. They have a pretty extensive database on what they want and what they don't want up there. But it's interesting. They're always finding new things and figuring out what they need to do to go from there. Destination requirements. The URLs need to match. You can't say I'm sending you to website A and then send them to website B, like you're tricking them where it looks like it. Technical requirements. They want to make sure landing pages are up to the most modern standards. So if there's old technology being used or something that might be more viable to fraudulent behavior, they'll block those and say, hey, we can't turn your ads on because of this specific feature. And then the ad format requirements is kind of the last one that you meet their limitations in regards to character limits, text limits, image limits, video limits, things like that. That if you don't adhere to those, your ads could get blocked or potentially flagged from there. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts? Do you like the Google ad policies? Are there any areas that you think are unfair? And usually where those happen are kind of the prohibited ones, that there's some wiggle room in there. We've had people that want to advertise something that would be like a gun holster, right? And so some of them don't allow weapons, and they the platforms will look at, we can show a holster, but it can show part of a gun, but not all of a gun, and kind of finding where that gray area is that would allow an ad to be able to run without it violating, what would show a weapon in the ad or things like that. There's several scenarios that we've done. There was someone that we had that wanted to advertise like these high-end knives that were, I think, like weapon knives, but they were like, if we put them next to food, then it's okay. So there was like some weird scenarios like that where we were able to get ads through around the policies that, and I think that's ultimately what advertisers are looking at. So if you have anything that's in kind of a gray area and you're wanting someone to talk to figure out what you can and can't do, definitely reach out to the team at Advertisement. We can always help you. We do actually have an infographic that has all of the ad policies together in one place. It's been maybe a year since we updated it, but it's definitely a great resource. I'll find it and put a link in here as well. But it's amazing that to be able to see everything, like, hey, if you're in cryptocurrency, what's allowed, limited. You know, it's got all that kind of broken down by all the main platforms. So like Meta, Google, TikTok, you know, Reddit, LinkedIn, you know, YouTube, all of those kind of across the board. So anyway, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.